Good morning. Dr. John Taylor Kent here. 29th of August, 4 a.m., well before the break of dawn. I think what I want to talk about is how America was taken over. Oh, by the way, I think I finally figured out that I need to look at this little dot at the end of the cell phone. I guess that's where the camera lens is at. So I'll try to focus on that with the idea, but it still seems like I'm off center. Yeah, I know that's going to be a good joke. Dr. Kent is off center. Well, one of my mentors described me as being I was so conservative, I was slightly left of Genghis Khan. And then the padre, the Catholic priest who oversaw our pensione, everybody assumed that I was very left because I had super long hair. Well, I could grow it, so I grew it, and it was longer than most of the women's hair, and they were jealous of it. It was down to my waist, and it was rather full at the time. I was pretty young. At that time, I was just turning 21. And people would ask them about me, or they'd be surprised at some of the things I would say. And, and he would say, "Tre conservativo," very conservative. And, yeah, I guess I've always been kind of an anomaly in that sense. Slightly left of Genghis Khan. I've got a buddy that I grew up with who actually was probably slightly right of Genghis Khan. He's very gung-ho. He knew what he wanted to be when we were little boys. He was younger than me, and he played with a howitzer in a toy tank, a toy howitzer in the sandbox, and he could name all the parts on that son of a bitch. I didn't know what they were. Heck, I think at the time I was just 7 years old. I think he was 4 years old or something. And he wanted to be a soldier when he grew up. His father was a World War II ace. We lived across the hall from him. Pretty sure it was across the hall. I might have been up another floor. I think we were on the first floor. 3 floors to the housing there in Butzbach in Germany. Of course. I really want to focus on how America was destroyed. Now, we can argue, is America still around anymore? I don't think so. I think it's changed completely. And I think once these older folks, yeah, I know I'm older, but I'm referring to the people that are older than I am. Once that generation is gone, all hell is going to be released upon this nation, upon what's left. So all that stands between us and judgment are these older people. Now, there's not much respect for the elderly in this nation anymore. Jeez, my friend who's living in Ecuador tells me she had it made. She'd go to the bank and she'd get in the line and they'd move her over. There was no line for the older people down there in Ecuador. They felt that older people didn't have any time to waste. They didn't have to wait in line with the average person. So they had a special line, which wasn't a line at all, special service, a special window at the bank. And at the stores, older people were catered to before the others because we don't have time to waste. We don't have that much time left. Time's more important to us than money for the most part at this point, because we know we're running short on time. I think some of us are trying to take the money with us, but I don't think it works very well. I know some of the real wealthy set up trust funds and all that, but in case you're wondering how you were destroyed, it was from within. We allowed an enemy to exist among us, an enemy who's taken down many nations before, who wages war by deception, who does it in secret, whose father was the father of all lies, who was a murderer from the beginning, and they're just like their father. They are murderers. And before you get too carried away, jump into conclusions, I'm going to warn you to be careful, because I'm not going to make it easy for you. I'm going to give you a new name, a new term. It was a term developed by a young man. I don't know how old, oh my Lord, Mike Harris would be right now. I think he's younger than I am, but he was the one that developed the term Khazarian Mafia. And another psychologist, Preston James, I believe his name is, with Veterans Today, he gave Mike Harris the credit, and I want to give him the credit as well, because when he interviewed me more than a decade ago, he told me that he came up with this term, the Khazarian Mafia. Yeah, what we live in today in the United States is nothing short of organized crime. Doesn't your FBI prove that to you? Hasn't your Department of Justice shown that to you? Don't your politicians, your ensconced class that rules over us all, don't they aren't they evidence to you of the organized crime, of how corrupt this nation is? Now tell me, Yahweh, God, Creator, Father is not going to judge this nation. And Baal is going to jump right in there with him. Everything is stacked against us at this point. We lost. We've fallen off the cliff. We're just waiting to hit bottom, that's all. We're in the air, falling down. How did they do it? They were smart. They were shrewd. They were intelligent. They had it going up here. They were a step ahead of us every step of the way, and they're a step ahead of us right now, too. I think last year in the United States, they're responsible for at least 200,000 extra unnecessary deaths. And this year, we're on track, on schedule to use another 360,000 unnecessarily. And I don't know what it's going to be in 2023. Undoubtedly, the death rate's going to go up. And if you wouldn't mind doing the math for me and taking a guess as to how many people you think are going to die in 2023 and 2024 and 2025, please do so in the comments. I'm open to your input on this, because I've been racking my brains trying to figure this out. And in case you're wondering, my figures are conservative estimates based upon actuarial tables. And not everybody has life insurance in this country. So I'm going to take a guess, maybe a third of the population's got life insurance. So multiply it by 3. Whatever it is, percentage that has life insurance, that's going to be the percentage that we've got a good estimate on. So we're probably losing, I don't know, $1 million, $1.2 million, $1.5 million last year. And it's going to keep going up. And in case you're wondering, the enemy plays by rules. They use the Bible as a rule book, a playbook. They use the Bible against us. That's, to a large extent, how they took us over. They hide their identities from us. They change their names. And they hide among other people that don't even know they're there either. They came from a sociopathic culture that loved war, loves death, loves to take advantage, loves to murder, loves to enslave, loves to do weird shit to children. And they kill over that. anytime anybody reveals anything like Anne Heck, like Anthony Bourdain, like all those people that revealed about this child, this human trafficking, anything to do with that, they kill over. So I'm not going to get into that stuff. They got assets all over this country, and in my estimation, they got somebody that can kill you within a mile and a half of you. They just got to call the hit in. They're professional guys, go out there. And most of the time, they set it up to make it look like a car accident or some sort of thing that they can rule natural cause, even though it's not natural cause. They close their books because they control the books. They control law enforcement. They own the damn judges, for the most part. Not all of them. They own most of the congressmen and congresswomen, for the most part. Not all of them. Senators, they own a lot more of the senators. Very few of the senators are worth anything. You need to get on your knees and pray to Yahweh. You need to read your Bible so you understand where this thing started at and where it comes from. And yes, this is going under Dr. John Taylor Kent and not under Awakening Israel. Probably belongs under both, but YouTube only lets me load up to one. I haven't decided which one this is going to go under just yet. Okay, thank you for joining me early this morning, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you also for coming back. And if you're subscribing, I got a few subscribers. Yay. And if you leave comments, I certainly would appreciate it. Even if you left just a dot, a period down there. Might help the algorithm. I think the comments are more important than the thumbs up or the thumbs down, but those help the algorithms too. And in case you're wondering, the enemy owns this platform outright. The enemy owns Fascist Book. The enemy definitely owns Twitter. They kicked me off that a long time ago. I'm kind of proud of that. I don't want anything to do with those bastards over at Twitter. I'd like to see that Dorsey or whoever the hell owns it and runs it, I'd like to see him perp walked for violating the First Amendment. I'd like to see him stripped of any and all citizenship in these United States of America and banished. Never allowed to enter again upon strict penalty of immediate execution upon sight. I need you to understand, when we were founded, our founders knew who they were. They knew who we were. They recognized it. They knew it because they all read the Bible. It was their primer. It was their reading primer. It was the book by which they learned how to read. Everybody who learned how to read read the Bible. Have you read the Bible? I've read it. I wish I'd have started sooner. But I had to be cajoled. I had to be beaten into submission. 2 strokes, not one, humbled my ass. I sat on my ass and I read the Bible for months, years. Now it said that the Bible interprets itself. Okay. I want to get into that as well, but I'll do a separate video on that if I can remember. This is Dr. John Taylor Kent. What's left of a psychologist after the strokes and after the years, and after taking all the hits, the wounds, and I am very wounded. If you would like to pray for me, I would appreciate it. I would ask strictly that you pray to Yahweh. In Yahweh's name. That's the one. And I would ask that you pray that he guides me, that he's there, and he's there correcting me, not far from me, that he would give me inspiration. He would show me the best decisions to make. I would like to increase my level of functioning, which means I need to increase my resources, which I was wrongfully deprived of last year, and I'm still pursuing that. It was enough to have really made a major difference. I'm trying to get myself into a little bit of, not a new motorhome. I want to get an old one in real good shape, though. And I need help in that decision. I need help in finding one. Need help in that placement, that purchase, the guidance of that. I got a fantastic little rig. It's ideal for 2 people to travel in. Gets in all the national parks. I would love to still go to the national parks, but I'm satisfied to have one motorhome, and it would be really nice to be better organized, better able to function. Anyway, you can pray for me for that. All right. Please buy the Bibles as gifts. Buy them so that somebody might stumble upon it and open it up and read it someday and figure things out. When we were founded, we were a nation of Bible readers. We came over here to escape the persecution because we were the believers. We were actually Israelites, descendants. Yeah, chosen ones. But not chosen for supremacy. Chosen to serve. You jackasses out there claiming that we're white supremacists. I don't mind joking about the white hair. But there isn't much wisdom in our leadership today, is there? Even with those with the white hairs. They knew that they could not take us over until they changed our Bibles. And they changed our Bibles. I believe the year was 1917. I don't have a copy of the enemy's Bible. It's on my list of assets to purchase. There's a specific year I want to get a hold of. I'd love to get a large print one, but I'll be happy just to get a proper copy of the hardback and get out a magnifying glass if I have to. But in the footnotes, they reveal their agenda. And in the titles and the headings, they reveal their agenda. And they reveal themselves. So the Bible interprets itself, and it doesn't need footnotes. You just have to read it, push into it a little bit, and it opens itself up. And when we were founded, there was a religious test of office in every one of the colonies and every one of the states that came to be. And because there was a different religion in each state, pretty much, they had to agree upon one thing, to disagree upon what the official state religion was going to be. And in their wisdom, our founders came up with freedom of religion. However, that was at the federal level, because at the state levels, you couldn't even run for office unless you were a member of that church in good standing. Some places it was Presbyterian, some places, I don't think the Baptists existed back then. Pentecostal, Episcopalian, Methodist, Quaker, Amish. Every state had a religious test for office, so we didn't worry about it at the federal level. What we worried about was getting along with each other and banding together for our self-defense because we were under attack. The French wanted us, and the British definitely wanted us. And the Spanish would have, but they'd already had their asses kicked before then. And as far as Germans go in Germany, so many Germans came over here and contributed immensely that it's amazing that we went to war against our own people. I think at one point 51% of the nation was German, and we went against our own homeland. Yeah, the evil ones got us talked into that. They wanted to get rid of the monarchies, and they sure as hell did it. They wanted to take over our currency so they could run the show, and they sure as hell did it. They run the show today. You got a figurehead down there. Even Trump's just a damn figurehead, and he's not that good. I know he's much better than what we have right now, and I'd vote for him right now and what he stood for if he was running. But he put forward that bullshit, that warp speed bullshit. He still hasn't told us the truth and gone public with that. And until he does, then he can be damned. He's responsible for a lot of these deaths, a lot of these injuries. And as far as this idea, I'm not so sure that America first doesn't mean we take down America first. Yeah. We're targeted. They decided to take us down. They build up a nation and they use a nation, and they're using us. You think you live in the greatest and best nation. No, there's more freedom in other nations outside this one by a long shot. And you jackasses out there think you got to rule over your neighbor. So you want to dictate to him how he cuts his grass or cuts his hair. I mean, there's all kinds of bullshit stuff we tried to pull on each other. And as a result, we've screwed ourselves up. We've become intolerant. We won't let the other son of a bitch have his life and live it the way he wants. We've got to dictate what they do. And that's a big mistake. So until you boys and girls out there are ready to let that go and let the other guy live the way he wants to live, if he's not harming you, he's not harming anybody else, he's not trespassing, there's no victim from what he's, for what's going on. Or is there? Anyway, they destroyed us from within and a long time ago. And we've been falling off that cliff for quite a while. And they're laughing with joy and with glee because they beat us and they know it. How do you go against this Justice Department and correct that jackass Merrick Garland at the head of it? You don't, because the FBI is going to protect him. All law enforcement's going to protect his ass. All the judges are going to protect him because he's over them all pretty much. Above the law, huh? Definitely. So how are you going to call to task the head of the FBI when he's committed crimes? Or the last head of the FBI when he committed crimes? You're not. It's all organized crime. It's one big club and you ain't in it. Man, that guy was such a genius. We thought he was just being comical. He was telling us the truth the whole time. What a wonderful man. He was able to deliver it so we would laugh. Laughter is good medicine. I want you to start reading the Constitution because they've been lying about that too. There's no three co-equal branches. One branch is more powerful than the rest, and that's the Congress, not the Senate, the Congress. And the entire legislative branch as a whole is the most powerful of the three. And the weakest of the three is the judiciary. And that's the way it was meant to be. Read the Constitution, you'll be able to discern the exact balance of powers. It doesn't say co-equal in there anywhere. Oh, and your lifetime appointments for your Supreme Court justices. Doesn't say that anywhere either. It says may serve while under good behavior, and the B in behavior is capitalized. And frankly, I think that means good behavior in all aspects. So you can't have a private life of bad behavior and be a judge. Yeah, they're all guilty of bad behavior. Even Clarence, I believe. Love to run into him. I hear he's an RVer. I'd love to have a face-to-face with him. I saw pictures of him when he wasn't in his robes, and I know that he looks just like an ordinary guy. You wouldn't know he was that brilliant man that's done so much for this nation when he's in civilian clothes. I guess he and his wife like it that way. And God bless his wife Jenny, too, and protect her. She's been harassed without cause. I still have a question for him on an issue. I'll leave that on a personal note because I don't mind if he reaches out to me. Man, it would shake me up. Okay, Dr. Kent, this is Justice Clarence Thomas. What's your beef? Oh, my Lord. Oh, well, that's a good fantasy. It's pleasant, isn't it? Man wants to know what I got against him. And I would tell him honestly. And who knows, maybe I have the wrong idea. But actually, there's a couple of things. And one of those is that these justices all go over to China and all get paid $1 million, $2 million a year for their lectures they deliver to the Chinese. Probably a damn utterance when they get off the plane saying hallelujah or it's wonderful to be here. And that's their public speech, I'll bet. Can't be on the take to the Chi-Coms now, but every one of them, from what I hear. I don't really want to get rid of Clarence. He's the only one I want to keep. Well, there's another guy there that's pretty good. He really is pretty good. And we had that other justice who was excellent till they murdered him in Texas and covered it up. Even that local judge signed off when she knew it was wrong. That wasn't investigated. We have all of these crimes that have not been investigated. So you boys and girls out there who don't have work, if you're willing to work for just an honest wage and be honest yourselves, and dedicate yourselves to being honest and dedicate yourselves to your task, you're going to have work writing the proper, correct history, investigating these crimes, prosecuting these criminals, maybe even some of them they're already dead and in the ground. They need to be dug up, figuratively speaking, and they need to be tried. And we need to have honesty in our history books. We don't have it. Oh, and we need to do a forensic historical analysis of all of our science as well and see how those have been undermined, because the enemy undermines everything. Everything you believe in and think you know to be true, they've done something to. They've screwed with it one way or the other. Even the definition of a virus or vaccine, all the health stuff, it's bullshit. They've run roughshod over the herbologist, roughshod over the alternative practitioners, and as a result, our health suffers. That's why we have the most expensive healthcare system in the world. We gave them a Rockefeller monopoly on that. And those boys in the health profession and girls are continuing to lose credibility, which is what should happen. They shouldn't be given that doggone monopoly. It's a medical military industrial complex, Ike. You didn't get it right. You left off the most important word. It should start with medical, military, industrial complex. I want you to save America. I want you to pray on her behalf. Pray for good leaders. As far as the leaders that we have right now, I don't know if they're worth investing prayers into. I think it's worth investing prayers that we will return to our roots, to the original structure our founders gave us. Why? Well, for one, we're not going to be able to agree on anything else. It's the only thing that will unite us. For the second, it's the only thing that will save us. And we have to get control of our nation back in order to save this planet. The evil ones have destroyed planets before, as far as I can tell. Mars doesn't look too good today. How does it look to you? What about that asteroid belt? That planet doesn't look good at all, does it? Makes you wonder. Now, I need you to understand, they gave us a different Bible. Schofield Reference Study Bible. They took over our seminaries. Matter of fact, they might have taken over our Bible translation back 275 BC. We just don't know about Ptolemy II. We don't know if that boy was right or wrong. We don't know if he made changes to that Hebrew Bible that he translated into Greek. If he made those purposely, willingly, by deleting Yahweh, the proper name of the other names as well of our Creator Father, and substituted Lord for other lords, lesser gods as well. He really screwed things up. So this new Bible corrects it. Reminds me when Barack Obama was president, or was that Bush, and they put corrects it in the Gulf. What a name for a chemical that kills people and screws up the oceans. They do everything they can to poison this planet and poison us. They do it with our air, with our water, with the electrical currents they subject us to, with their medical treatments. They hold on to those as long as they can get away with doing the damage. Thalidomide, cigarettes. Your doctor endorses whatever it was brand of cigarettes. Yeah, folks. We're held hostage in the United States of America. The electorate doesn't control the outcome. It's not in charge. The whole structure is set up right now so that it's all going to come out the way they want it to come out. It's one big club, and you and I aren't part of it. I wouldn't even bother with this next election. I will vote. But how do you vote for freedom? How do you vote to cut this government back, to cut it down? How do you vote to let your neighbor grow his grass if he wants? How do you vote to allow the other son of a bitch to live the way he wants? The problem is you don't do that. And until you give up, it comes from a good talk I had with a good friend yesterday, a farmer. Farmers got common sense. They're right on the ground, in the ground. They think differently. And I miss my buddy Andy. Died about 7 years ago, maybe 8. Andy had a nice common sense about him. There was a few things that he was a stickler on and pain in the ass on, and some things that he had wrong. Once you create a subsidy for a farmer, they're not going to give it up. Guess that's human nature. But it should be illegal. It's not just immoral and unethical to take a food product and burn it in a damn engine, thereby removing it from the world market, thereby causing some poor little son of a bitch in a foreign land to starve. Some poor child to fail to develop and thrive and to starve. That's not right. That's criminal. You can't divert agricultural products away from the market. But they're doing their best. Why? Because the big boys that we got running us, they're going to bring us those three things in the Bible talks about. They're going to bring us the sword, which means war. Pestilence, which means your damn diseases. And your cures, which are sometimes worse than the disease. The treatment is often worse than the cure, worse than the disease. And famine. So they're doing their best to bring about the punishments that Yahweh demands for us, that we've been cursed with. Why? Because they want to be God. They want to play God. You see, Satan works for Yahweh. He just doesn't know it. He was given license to sift us, license to sort us out, to find out who was going to remain faithful and serve. We're the servant race, meant to serve. He who rules with God is a servant of Yahweh. I need you to understand they have fooled us in so many ways and deprived us and deceived us. It's not funny. They've even cheated us on the money. They've taken all the money. So when you fight over this shit that's out there, this script, this phony money, this monopoly money, remember there's no real money. And they run this entire world because they control it through their central banks and their banking system. Too big to fail my ass. They should be required to fail. There should be banks failing on a regularity. Shouldn't be a lot of them, but it should be a few. It's just like I think it's called a proposis, whatever it is, in which if you starve yourself momentarily, your body goes in after the bad tissue that's lying around, that's holding it back, holding it down. And so you actually live a bit longer because your body gets to clean itself up. I'm not very good at that. Most of us like our bellies full. Yeah, we need to go on a bit of a starvation diet in the United States of America because they're going to do it to us. So we might as well do it ourselves and correct ourselves. You might want to fast on behalf of the nation, but you certainly want to pray. And you certainly want to ask Yahweh into your life, and you want Him to show you your decisions and to alert you as to the best choice for you in your life. That's what they mean by working at your salvation. This bullshit of you just have to believe and that's it. You can go about your business sinning as usual and having a good time. It don't work. You believe and you work out your salvation. How do you do that? Well, as far as I can tell, you got to be parties to the original covenants. And the devil and devil's children are not parties to the original covenants, and they cannot be converted. And you jackasses out there think everybody and anybody can be saved. It's not true. That's why the wheat and the tares can't be sorted out just yet, because it's so intertwined. So what do? You read the Bible, and whatever it says to do, you do. Whatever principle is demonstrated to live by, you live by. You choose the good over the evil. Every time, every day, every way. And you pray for guidance. And as you do the right thing, your Holy Spirit that's within you will strengthen. And you will strengthen. And if we all do that together, we'll be able to maybe get this government back under control. We haven't been in charge and under control. The electorate has not been in control since the election of Woodrow Wilson. Colonel Mandel House, who was an agent of the enemy. was brilliant when it came to running that election. And they guided the man to lie about what he was going to do, and then they immediately did the opposite. Just imagine if there was a death sentence on lying for any politician or violating their campaign promises. What about if we just sent them home? I mean, campaign promise was such, send you home. Oh, by the way, William Taft caused a lot of problems because he didn't live up to his campaign promise. What was that campaign promise? The campaign promise was that he was not going to allow any Russian visas to come to the United States. They weren't going to be allowed to come here. Why was that? Who was it that walked into the White House and held him to task? President Taft, for failing to live up to his campaign promise. Who was it that upon walking away from that meeting, disappointed, announced, "Gentlemen, this means war"? What was his name? That son of a bitch started World War I. All the world wars. His heirs still run around today and still tell lies all the time. Shouldn't senators be held to the highest of ethics? And when they violate the ethics, shouldn't we send them home? Should not the Senate censure them? Kick their asses out? Well, actually, if we had a constitutional Congress, the state that they represented would fire their asses, kick them to the curb. They'd be required to go home back to the state legislature from whence they came, and they were allowed to complete the term to the seat to which they were elected in their state legislature. You see, the Senate was supposed to represent the states. The states were the parties of the covenant, not the people. The people were represented. It gets complicated, I know. But you need to understand these things. So, put aside your Bibles, the ones you have you think are so good. They're so hot. Buy my Bibles, the proper name version of the King James Bible. Start reading it. Read the Founding Fathers' writings. They were brilliant. If you can understand those and read those, you're going to be ahead of me. Not only that, you're going to be sharper. You're going to be getting more intelligent. And they'll even help your character. They'll build up your character, which to me is the most important thing, because character trumps personality. You can have a personality disorder, but if a man goes about building his character, he will fix his personality disorder. And when you fix a personality disorder, you rob the other axes of its power to a large extent. Now, those who are feeble-minded, I understand, they're not so likely to have a good outcome like that and get a full benefit, but I think they can try. I think they should be urged to try. Read history books, autobiographies, great men and women, and don't just borrow from them, steal from them. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to come up with your own form of government. You just need to read and understand what they intended, what they wanted, and why they put it in the wording they did. You need to understand what money is. It's defined in the Bible. It's also defined basically in the Constitution to a very large extent. We don't have any money. Okay? You need to understand a lot of things. You need to understand they changed the Bible around and gave us footnotes with an agenda so they could rule us. You need to know they gave you this idea that you're not supposed to judge others. Oh, hell. As it says in the New Testament, don't you know you will judge angels? Especially fallen angels. Time to pull your pants up. Put on your big girl panties, as they say. It's time to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and get this boot off your face. These boots off our faces. one of the things we return to is our militias. Why? Because to be a member of the militia in good standing meant you had to be an upright man. You had to be honest. You had to be noble. You had to keep your word. You had to honor your word, honor others, live by the 10 Commandments. And then you were a member of the boys. You were a member of the club that protected and defended each other. And when there was a problem, your fellow militia members would kick in, take a criminal into custody, present the criminal to the sheriff or to the courts, and then they would take over. We need to return to that, not to the idea that we're going to be, rebelling against this central government. The idea is we're going to take and reestablish local rule within our states with a body of armed men. I prefer the women weren't armed, but I don't mind it at all. Every woman I ever took out shooting handguns outshot me every time. They're naturally better shooters than we men are when it comes to handguns. Superior hand-eye coordination, one of those extra abilities given to a woman, extra capacity given for the purpose of motherhood. Women were given a lot more extra than men, but it's a balancing act. They got a balancing act to do. That's why they need to be protected in part, to a large extent. We need to return to our militias that are not beholden to the central government, the central federal communist government. We have no democracy. The republic's been dead for a long time. We can look at the major cuts over history. We can see that Abraham Lincoln destroyed the republic. He's the one that screwed it up the most. We can see that the Organic Act of 1871, I believe, in which they just established a way to manage that little 10 square miles of Washington, D.C., they exceeded the limits of their boundaries for sure. They run over the rest of the country illegally, unconstitutionally. We can see that when they changed the currency, that hurt us. When they established the FBI, centralized police powers, about at the same time, that hurt us. When they established the IRS, which was never even voted upon, but they merely declared it as ratified, that hurt us. When they took away tariffs and duties at the borders, that hurt us. There's all kinds of things we can do to recover. We just have to start organizing at a community level, and we need to take control back again and get rid of these organized criminal government things that we have going on right now. They're all corporations. They're all set up for profit, and they're all designed to leech off the rest of us. So this is going under Dr. John Taylor Kent. Got the most viewers there. And it crosses over to Awakening Israel. You need to understand that this is a global fight. We're being attacked in all domains. Every which way. It's an unlimited fight. They even use nuclear stuff against us right now. They've been using it for decades. They use all kinds of biological and chemical stuff. They use electronic weapons. They use some incredible stuff that'll take you out of time, disassemble you, put you in another time and space, and then they bring you back. And it's a real gruesome death because you don't come back the same. They use that weapon on the highway to Baghdad, highway to hell. They got all kinds of weapons we don't know about, we should know about. All kinds of technology. They have all kinds of energy that we could be all benefiting from. We don't need to be living struggling like we are. And we can live very much in harmony with this planet. We can protect this planet. We can serve Yahweh. We can serve those who are not able to take care of themselves so well. Can at least create protected spaces for them. Join me. Let's get our nation back. I don't think we have to fire a shot, except maybe in self-defense. We know that they'll shoot us. No problem. They look for excuses for it. Like the FBI. What was that young man's name? Finnegan? The fellow they killed up in Oregon. That the current governor of Oregon authorized the assassination of that fellow. And they shot an unarmed man and staged the scene so they could claim that it was a self-defense thing. Hell, we're lucky that he was the only one that got killed, and he's the only one that got killed because he got out of the car bravely with his hands up because he knew they were going to kill him. And if he didn't step out there and sacrifice his life, they'd have killed everybody in that car, including the women. They all feared for their lives. The Oregon State Police and the FBI that were involved in that. There are crimes to be investigated. Even that governor should be held to task. Yahweh bless America.